After nearly 2 years travelling Europe climbing as a family, we have to move out of our tiny home on wheels. Our van broke in a couple of places, and because of a perfect storm of crappy circumstances, it's not a quick fix. We're incredibly fortunate to have supportive family who can take us in for a couple of months, but I've still felt this unexpected shame. Shame at relying on others, shame that our self-sufficient, we've got this life has hit a point where we don't. Fighting hard to live a dream feels bold and inspiring when everything goes to plan, but when it doesn't, the cracks show, mostly inside me. Thankfully, the kids seem oblivious to the stress and are just enjoying a different kind of adventure with their wee cousin. But as a mother, there's a part of me that believes I should always be providing, creating stability and constantly moving forward. And I think a lot of that comes from the way the Western world not so subtly tells us we should be able to do it all. We should have it all together, be capable, organised, unshakable, independent. But life doesn't work like that, and dreams don't work like that. And these last few months have taught me that sometimes the bravest thing isn't the dream chasing, it's accepting help, and remembering that even the most independent journeys need the village. We finally got the van back on the road and left Valencia, chasing cooler climbing temperatures in one of our favourite areas of Spain, Asturias. But no dice. We arrived in the middle of a heatwave. Climbing in these conditions isn't exactly fun. It's a little like a slow roast with a side of dehydration. Our first early start climbing day was so good, but the second, we didn't even make it to the crag before we were absolutely covered in ticks. We turned back before we even reached the rock.
God, I think I've taken off like at least double figures. There's so many.
Not exactly the glorious return to climbing we'd imagined, but stick with us. The climbing is going to get good and the adventure adventurous again. Because when life gives you lemons, you should make gin and tonic, or bread, or something.
Maybe we need to drive to Indonesia.
Yeah, alright then.
Good morning. I know this is a totally foreign concept to you, but this is what 6:30 looks like.
Teverga is undoubtedly one of the biggest gems in the climbing crown of Asturias in northern Spain. Uncrowded, unpolished and cool in the summer, usually, it's a world-class destination for technical climbing in the 7s and 8s, but with plenty of fantastic 5s and 6s, it's also been great for the kids too.
There's a gap in filming between me needing it and then it being done, but I did make it myself. Right, we're going to take...
It's not very burnt like last time.
Thanks. Praise indeed.
I don't think it was burned the last time, it was just got a wee crispy part.
Arlo, where are we going? That wall right there.
Arlo, a butterfly almost landed on your head.
Quite high.
That looks quite high to jump, no? it's like, is it not about as high as a person? Is it lower over there? Right, walk along, walk along. Are you gonna lift me down like that as well?
We realised on the way back up that legging it over the barrier and onto the path was in fact not necessary. We walked right past the trail, which in our defence was quite overgrown, but there you have
We're
it.
gonna go up the rope. Listen, this isn't a place to carry on, okay? The path is narrow and the drop is steep, okay? So this is not a place to carry on.
Yeah.
Good job.
A little bit hard, this part.
A little bit hard, but you're doing really good.
So much.
We're here.
We are. And it's gonna be awesome. We can make a teepee.
What's up?
Arlo, is that insane?
I actually realised quite recently that there's a lot of non-climbers that watch our videos, and I thought it might be helpful to explain a little bit more about climbing outdoors. A question that we get is, how do you know where to go? Like, how do you know what to climb? And when we go out with the kids, we do a lot of sport climbing. Sport climbing is drilled, glued bolts into the rock, in principle very safe, compared to trad climbing, traditional climbing that we do in Scotland, where you follow natural lines in the rock and you place your own protection as you go. A lot of Europe is sport climbing, especially cragging. And here we have a guidebook that explains the approach, how to get to the rock, and then when we're here we just have to figure out from the guide by counting the lines. Sometimes the names are written on the wall. We figure out with natural features like any grass, trees, cracks, anything that explains the lines in the books. And then in the book you have the grade, which for sport climbing is pretty much purely difficulty. And then we go from there. So that is a very concise explanation of how it works for all our non-climber friends.
And then I have some bits of bread.
Some bits of bread, and I have chorizo actually.
Usually we climb as a family at sectors where there are grades for everyone, but some days, like today, it's a mummy and daddy climbing day because there's nothing easy for the kids. But make sure you watch till later when it's the kids' turn to climb in a really cool exposed sector where we have an unexpected and surprisingly tense encounter with a horse.
Yep.
Mayonnaise and olives
And
then corn.
Yum.
Scrubs.
Arlo, is Aya okay? Good job. Nice, honey. Come on. Very good. Then you should be alright. Why don't you throw her stick out of the water? Alright, well, I can't. She's gonna have to wait. She's just gonna have to wait right now, okay? You keep an eye on the sister. Don't worry about Molly. Molly's a dog. She can take care of herself. Come on, Jimmy. Right.
So hot. So hot.
It's so long. I had to turn the camera off because I was worried the battery was gonna die because it's like 40 meters. So it's like really, really long.
Really
Daddy's knackered.
like a cobra.
Didn't look bad.
That's why this really just makes you smile.
That was really good. Right, I'm gonna have a shot. Get my shoes.
Days like these are short with the kids. We do a couple of burns on projects while they play, and then we usually call it a day. In the past, before we had kids, we'd spend the entire day on the wall. But one of the many little lessons my kids have taught me is gratitude. And nowadays the act of climbing has become more important than the result of climbing. And that shift feels like it's brought me right back to the purest enjoyment of this life. It's retaught me what climbing means to myself and to us as a family.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I love Asturias. I love Asturias. That's amazing.
Is it Arlo's making it or Mummy's making it?
Assisting.
It looks like Arlo's the man now. Look at all this.
Yeah, I did all that. I could eat the onion.
You want to do the onions as well?
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
really
no,
don't
no.
have to do anything. We always put onion in it. You put onion in tortilla. Yeah, that was in the last one as well. Yes.
A few moments later.
This needs to be on camera. Explain to the people what's just happened.
Well, I guess ask a local if tortilla with onions or without onions.
And what did they say?
With onions.
And who said it was with onions?
My wife.
And who said it was without onions?
I did.
And who's right?
Okay, my wife did.
Yes! oh my gosh. Oh shit, it's stuck. Crap.
Yes.
Oh, oh.
Wait.
Oh no! No! Right, put it back in. Maybe we just scoop it out. It tastes good though, no? Okay, right. Even if it's stuck, it tastes nice. You want to try?
You probably got lost. Did I get one?
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, we haven't finished it. So it's here.
That's not.
Is it nice? Should we eat? I think van life is serving your dinner on the bed.
That looks awesome.
Turned out quite good. Everyone's being a bit crazy.
I just fell down the hill. doing a goofy walk.
Whatever it takes to get you up there. Come on then.
How far are we?
Bar. Pardon? Yeah. Wait, yeah, on you go down.
I was asked pretty recently if I ever get scared for the kids when they're climbing, and the truth is no, not climbing. But we've had a few hairy moments on descents in the mountains, and for the first time this day on the approach, with a horse. I actually didn't film it because we were too busy keeping the kids out of its way, but one of the stallions took a pretty freaky interest in our dog Marley taking a run at Hardin. It turned out fine, and on the way back we had zero problems. It's not the horse's fault. I think it was just being protective of its lady friends. But still, one of those moments when you're pretending to be calm to not freak your kids out, but internally you're vibrating.
That's really kind, buddy. Use it as like a walking stick, yeah? It was supposed to be cloudy.
Definitely not cloudy. It might be cloudy later on though.
At least it's windy. Oh, and it's so windy and I didn't have the fluffy mic for the camera, so the audio is probably SHIT.
I have an idea.
Daddy's left his shop bag down the bottom and he's too lazy to go down and get it. So he's taking the catty corn. That's cute, Daddy.
Arlo and Aya's climbing days are usually rest days for me and Hardin, with the exception of putting up a few routes for the kids. I just want to take a wee second here to highlight how exposed this sector was and how well the kids did.
Nice, buddy,
it was so windy and the gusts really picked up, and it can make it feel really insecure on the wall, especially when you're small and you feel like you might get blown off. It honestly takes a good bit of mental stamina and focus, and they did so well with it.
Good job, Arlo. Keep going, buddy. That's it. This is the fun part, Dylan. All big blocks. Yeah. Go on, buddy. Keep going.
A lot of guidebooks have recommendations for kid-friendly areas, usually based on how comfy the base is. This wasn't a recommended kid sector because the base was at about a 50-degree angle on the side of the mountain, not super comfortable and not ideal for little kids who might not be great at perching. But to be honest, using our own judgment by not shying away from these areas and through our own experience as climbers, we can judge our kids' capability, which has built their confidence in more difficult terrain and helped them become more risk aware in certain situations, which as young climbers is really important in the mountains, but also in life.
I like the crispy part of it, it's really nice.
Good, isn't it?
It's a sad strawberry.
What did you say?
What's a sad strawberry?
What's a sad strawberry? What?
Right? Check.
Stand up, Dylan. There you go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Well done, Aya. Just like that. There we go. Good technique, Aya, with the alpine knee. Very nice, very nice. Keep getting your feet up so you can reach, Dylan. Go on, Aya. Good job. Into the crack. That's a girl. You figured it out, Aya. Well done. Boosh. I think she wants the wafers. You did so good. So good. Till I don't get a fist pump. Boosh.
I actually do.
You do want to? Cool.
Look. Then
One of the things I've come to love about full-time van life is the work it takes just to live, like finding and topping up our water.
This one's actually really easy to fill up. Sometimes the water pressure's crap.
Hear me out. In a world of increased convenience, the constant dopamine high of ease from having your groceries delivered to binge watching Netflix makes you feel happy for a moment, but ultimately leaves you feeling empty and unsatisfied, like fast food. But when you have to put effort into simple life things, you find fulfillment again, and you realise that real joy in life comes from effort, not from ease. And when you're done with the effort, you can reward yourself, say with an ice cream or a glass of white wine at 4 p.m. Does that make sense?
Never change, Arlo.
There's that old house again.
So it is. It's called a Horeo.
And getting water isn't the only work that's weirdly satisfying while also mildly annoying. Getting power, laundry and packages are also work. We're always curious, could you see yourself doing full-time family van life? Think adventure, chaos and all the work in between. No wrong answers, we love hearing your thoughts.
Oh, lipat baju habis nyuci nih.
Yeah. But I think I was too impatient at the dryer. I only put it in for 15 minutes, so some of the stuff's still a wee bit damp. I'm hoping that the residual heat in the pan will dry.
Lived in black and white, it makes the gray so hard to see.
Van life has a way of unravelling your plans constantly, like the van being off the road for 2 months or this parcel shop being closed. At first it's frustrating, but somewhere along the very recent way I've learned to welcome it. Those small disruptions slow us down. They give us space for time to feel full without being busy. And in a world that glorifies constant doing, these pauses feel almost rebellious. And reflecting now, I realise they become some of my favourite parts of this alternative family life.
Carnage. A bit sketchy going down now.
Big potholes.
Almost got a head injury from a bag of flour.
It's amazing, right? He's so much balance.
It does. It really is actually.
Small town in a little oasis where my big dreams were gonna take me places. I would make bets with the rising sun and tell him all I'd done. Late night walks.
It reminds me so much of Indonesia.
It
is nice to be on the beach. Last one ends a rotten egg.
Just wanna make it proud.
Go on, live, honey.
Little Falls, you're a small town, honey. Rich in love, but not in money. Even if I change my tempo, not gonna let go of everything you meant to me. And Little Falls, you will stay my home. And if I move on when I am full grown, I'll still make bets with the rising sun, like I did when I was young. Not all my memories are good though, but I wouldn't change them if I could, no.
Camouflage.
Big smiles
going
and
on?
ridiculous laughter.
right? I'm just gonna go.
And remember where I
Just
began.
gonna, like,
You are my next
do
of
you
kin.
want to place a bet?
Little Falls, you're a small town, honey. Rich in love, but not in money. Even if I change my tempo, not gonna let go of everything you meant to me. And Little Falls, you will stay my home. And if I move on when I am full grown, I'll still make bets with the rising sun, like I did when I was young.
It's so nice. It's so nice. It's just, it feels like any problems that you
See you
have,
on the main
the
street.
water just,
See you on Broadway.
The sexy answer for why we chose this life of full-time travel and climbing is to live our passions. But the honest answer was to step away from a world and values that we no longer recognised. Out here, the noise fades, and what's left is time.
Little Falls, you're a small town, honey. Rich in love, but not in money.
Now we have to get the
I
van up
change
the
my
hill.
tempo, not gonna let go
Some
of
people spend
everything
their
you
lives
meant to
searching
me.
for the meaning of life, but maybe it's not hidden at all. Maybe it's as simple and as hard as this, to just live.
Still make bets with the rising sun, like I did when I was young.
Alex!
Like I did when I was young.
Hopefully it'll
Like I did
set them up
when
well for
I
life.
was young.
Either that or we'll have broken them. God, I hope not.